Hey everyone, I'm Pierre Mancuso.
And I'm Brian Koch.
And this is the next installment of our Countdown to Coco extravaganza.
Oh, it's an extravaganza now.
Yeah, so now we've hit 7 films.
Yes.
Right?
7 films.
I think 6 is meh, and then 7 brings us into the extravaganza category.
Okay.
I think 13 is where it becomes a smorgasbord. And it is the 7th episode to correspond with the 7th theatrically released Pixar film. As we do on the show, we watch and review and discuss every theatrically released.
Reminding me what we're supposed to do.
I thought, in case you forgot, you looked a little confused as I explained this. Yeah. And today we're going to be talking about quite possibly the greatest Pixar film.
Oh yeah,
The Cars. No, it's not the Cars.
Oh, sorry, the Incredibles confused me.
It's just the Cars.
It's the Cars.
It's the Incredibles.
Yeah,
but it's the Cars.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, in case you hear any other things besides our beautiful voices, we have our roommate Harvey in the background, typing away, being an asshole, doing things. That's him. So if you do hear anything, any kind of giggling at what we say, because we're just so funny, that's what that is.
Much like the Harv in the film.
We just want
can't
you to know,
see him. We
just want you to know we're not pulling a modern sitcom where we just add laugh track. Like, we actually have a studio audience with us.
All the laughs that we receive are genuine and earned.
Always.
Yeah.
the Cars.
Even at our expense.
Okay, so let's talk about this movie, because even though Bug's Life is now considered kind of part of this group, this is the first Pixar movie that people kind of started being like, okay.
Like, it still had, overall a positive reception, but this is when it was like, what? It's not a classic.
It's not a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I think that if this movie were made by any other animation studio,
people would be like, oh.
And actually, you know what? It feels like it was made by another studio in the sense of,
does it?
The concept. It's not how...
Okay, in the sense of the concept, sure.
It was what if it's just Cars?
But it does feel like a John Lasseter film.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because John Lasseter movies are good.
Ooh, wow.
And this one's it's
coming
good,
right,
but it's
right out of the gate swinging. I don't know. You got it feels like John Lasseter directed. It feels like, you got that Randy Newman score. I don't know. It has that sort of atmosphere.
It doesn't have what we've been talking about, this intersectionality between the human world.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't have, so it feels very much like something like DreamWorks would have done. It's just a universe with cars.
Sure.
Kind of in the similar vein how Shark Tale didn't have did Shark Tale have humans in it?
Shark Tale did not have.
Well, there's an anchor.
The closest it has to a human is the DreamWorks boy logo.
But there's still a human. It's implied that humans do exist.
A little bit, yeah.
Because they have an anchor, so they have to.
It's a world in which humans exist, but they're not relevant.
But whereas in this one,
humans do not exist.
Humans do not or cannot exist. It's impossible.
Much like in A Bug's Life, humans existed, but they weren't a part of the story.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So this is the first one where humans just don't exist. They just don't, or maybe they did in the past. You read the theories about how the cars.
Oh, well, the cars evolved from bugs.
How?
The film theorists told me so. Oh, well, you have to watch the comprehensive video to fully grasp.
Is that the Pixar theory?
No, it's not the Pixar theory. That's a separate.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I don't like theories like that.
I'm sorry that you hate fun.
I do hate fun.
Okay.
Which is why I hated this movie. I didn't hate this movie. What was it? Oh, so this movie. Why don't we just bring it up? It's the most egregious offender of the Pixar rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
Of the questions that when you're watching it, so are they born? Are they made in a factory? Are some cars slaves to other things?
Like the tractors. Yeah.
Like the tractors. Do they have sex?
Mm-hmm.
How do they go to the bathroom?
We see bathrooms in the film.
Are they born? Do they die?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big one. Do they die? Do they have parents?
They do die.
They do?
You'll find out.
What?
Yeah.
They die? Oh, God.
I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you about death, son.
But
I was hoping you'd learn out on the playground.
It's just, it raises all these questions. Why do they have doors if no one's going inside?
And usually, I don't want this to be a huge focus, because a lot of times when people discuss these films, they'll go, yeah, I couldn't really get into it because, all these questions were rattling around in my old noggin.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm trying to say.
And it's okay, great. But, let's talk about the movie. If you could get past that, if you could, gather yourself, collect yourself, pick yourself up off
What's
the
the
floor.
point of having doors?
Oh, sorry.
I don't get why they have doors.
Chick just slammed the door on them. We don't even have doors in our universe, Bob.
But they do have doors. They do have doors.
Really?
I would understand.
They have garage doors.
I would understand garage doors. I
That's
saw them
privacy.
But I saw them have swinging doors open. When Lightning McQueen busts in on Doc giving the police officer a colonoscopy, those are swinging doors. Those are like human doors.
Okay.
How do they build these things?
Very carefully. The forklifts do it.
Birds are canon.
Birds are canon because the
birds are the only other mammals.
The
birds
birds
only other
from
sentient life.
the birds from arguably the greatest Pixar short for the birds make a cameo, not as like bird cars, but like bird.
Wait, is that
birds.
confirmed? Because I mean, it goes by so quick. Maybe they are car birds.
No. If you pause it, you get the freeze frame.
But
take a look.
But the shutter speed isn't fast enough. It's like it'll be a blur.
Listen,
the motion.
there's
too much motion blur.
You got to trust me on this. Okay, so
there's too much motion blur.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's sort of like start like from the beginning on this one because I feel like this movie goes through phases. You know.
So during this movie when we were watching it. So for the record, I have not seen this in ages. This is kind of like in a lot of ways it's like a first time watch in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Watching it for the first like 15 minutes, I was really getting into. it.
Which is interesting because for a lot of people, that's like the worst part of the movie.
Because
it's like alienating. It's all like, oh, like here's like they were going fast and like pop culture references and fast.
I guess so, and I guess maybe that was more egregious back when this came out because like Pixar had been so
sure
of it. But I mean, at this point, it was so much like as time has passed, it kind of doesn't bother me as much.
That makes sense.
I was super engaged. And I liked when he gets to Radiator Springs, like he's getting chased by the police officer, and then something literally, and I don't want to be the focus. And this is not like a new thought.
Okay.
But literally, the turning point was Mater.
Mater himself.
Literally, that was the exact because that's when he wakes up. Mm-hmm. Lightning McQueen must be found at all costs. And then where is Lightning McQueen? And then doesn't that when we first cut to Mater?
Yeah.
That's where the movie completely shifts.
It was immediate because you just
no
turned
pun
to me and
intended.
went like, because you were like, why do people rag on this movie? I don't understand. And then like Mater said one thing, and you were like, oh.
I felt like I forgot about Mater, but I just like was like, oh, I know Mater's like annoying, but maybe it won't be as egregious. Like,
no.
They give him way too much. Like the movie thinks that he's way more interesting or funny than he actually is. Mm-hmm. Kind of, it's very much like a Jar Jar. He's the Jar Jar of this movie. You know, he's intended to be the comedic relief, but it like. Even as a kid, I remember being like, "Oh, Mater." Mm-hmm. I didn't hate Mater. I was just like, "Oh, okay." That's
what I can say about a lot of the sense of humor in this film, or at least once we get into Radiator Springs, that's like this is kind of interesting. This isn't entirely like a good thing or a bad thing, but it's less about like, "Hey, this joke is like funny." It's more like this is how Lightning kind of like reacts to the townspeople, or like and like as it goes on further, like maybe like they'll do something that like they think is kind of funny, or they'll do something that kind of charming, and then Lightning will just kind of like laugh at it, and it'll just be like, "Oh, this is a pure and nice moment." It's not like ha 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 ha.
Well, I have an issue
for better or worse.
I think you're the one who talked to me about this. I don't like when characters laugh at something in the movie that like the audience isn't laughing at.
I see, yeah.
So Mater will do something like goofy that wasn't funny, and Lightning will go, "Ha ha ha! What a goofball!" I think one of the lines was "What a goof." I think that was an actual line in the movie. I'm not being funny.
Oh, I don't remember that. Maybe.
No, like. What a goof! I think it was something like that, or there's a lot of that. Like, oh, it felt like very after school special in some parts. Like this movie, like I feel was meant for younger kids, which is such a shame. Uh-huh. We just came from the movie. We just came off of the movie that was like really for adults.
Yeah.
The most for adults going on, and then we go immediately into the one most for like. When I say young kids, I don't mean like 7, 8. I'm talking like 4, 5.
Right. Well, I think something that you could at least like kind of sink your teeth into in the beginning is like. With like the opening, with the Dinoco race, I like kind of like some of like the documentary style that's in the opening. Like they have like the camera like zoom when like that one forklift is like knocking over the tires, or like when
that's really
like
cool,
zooms in on like the hey no cameras get out of here. Yeah. Like all that stuff's like really fun, and I like the way that they do sort of like. The exposition from the commentators
using the sports that's very sports.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like in the sense that it feels like we're just sort of like flies on the wall of like this like event and like it's happening. And it's almost like not to say like found footage, but like it's a certain like distinctive style that like is in the beginning of the and even after the race ends. Like when we have like the commercial for Rusty's medicated bumper ointment pop up, like the movie kind of establishes that style and like. understandably so, like, abandons it once we get to Radiator Springs. But it is a pretty strong and interesting style.
Which is why I think I liked it.
It is abrasive, but, like, fittingly abrasive.
I really dug. I dug the stuff with like the Rust-eze people. Mm-hmm. I liked the Speed Demon characters. Mm-hmm. I liked it, and then we just get to Mater, mm-hmm. and it's almost like it feels like it was written by, and not just with the Mater stuff, but even the characters I was into suddenly stopped being. They were trying to do a sports movie, but doing it with cars. So it's like he's like an athlete.
I have a lot of good in-jokes from the industry because of John Lasseter's and like variants, all that stuff. The Rust-eze people, there was this NPR radio show called Car Talk that went on for like decades. They're voiced by them, and they even had like the whole don't drive like my brother, don't drive like my brother. They would say that on like every show.
Oh,
like okay. Like the King is of course like a bit based on like a real like racer and.
It's it's an interesting conceit because it comes out of a place of love that John Lasseter just loves cars so much. Yeah, cars like lowercase c, like cars.
Cars. But also cars uppercase c.
Well, clearly he's made 2 other fucking movies. So you can sense the love for the idea.
Yes,
and it is an interesting conceit. It's like in this world, race cars is kind of like athletes.
Right.
So it's like they're basically doing a sports movie. Mm-hmm. But I wish it was actually about the sports. It's more about him not doing the sports. Mm-hmm. And then makes you go, I wish they just made a sports movie.
No, Cars 3. Oops. What?
I mean like an actual. I mean, I wish they made a basketball movie or a football movie or something, or like hockey or baseball. It would be so cool, like to basically just have like a sports drama, but it happens to be an animated film. Yeah. That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole thing is like, but it has to be some kind of like other conceit mixed with it. Otherwise. Why not just do a... I think animation needs... I would love for animation to get to that point where... Because right now it's kind of like... It's too lucrative of a business. So it needs to be kind of really
directed
wacky.
At families and
Whereas where I wish, why not do a football drama? Like a Friday Night Lights kind of thing. Great show, by the way, if you've never watched it. Great show, you should watch it. But you know what I was thinking about? The better version of this movie... You don't get as much of Radiator Springs. I do like Radiator Springs. As much as I'm harping on that section of the film, I like the culture of it, and I like the design. The world building of it. And that might also be because the video game was so cool. If you have not played the video game for this film, go out and buy it right now. It's so much fun. But you know what the better version of this movie is?
What's the better version of Cars 2006?
An underdog from Radiator Springs wanting to be a race car.
Oh.
And having to try to make his way, and everyone downing him because he's like he's from where the hell's that? Like who cares? Like, and him trying to train race cars. That's the better version of this movie, not the race car learn to be humble, because that's never. No one ever likes these stories of like the asshole character who learns to not be an asshole. I don't know.
What?
I don't think
Harvey's mouthing something to me.
What about Toy Story?
What about Toy Story?
No, but Toy Story, he's not. But he's a likable asshole, though. Woody is a likable asshole.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the whole point of this is like he's so unlikable, right? But by the end, you'll like him. Right. It's that kind of movie. Mm-hmm. Emperor's New Groove also does something like this. Mm-hmm. To most people say to better success. Because Lightning's like a really bad person.
Looks awful. Yeah, matches the rest of the town.
Like he's a big asshole, and the change is like he starts off too bad.
Yeah.
And then he gets too nice. Right? It's like whoa. Even like in like movie time, this is like way too quick of a turnaround.
There's like
not enough is done. I feel for him to actually make a sustainable
There's a specific moment like after him and Mater get back from tractor tipping when Mater's like, I knew it. I knew I made the right choice. And Lightning's like, what? My best friend. And I buy that Mater would have that level of loyalty, but then Lightning has this look like, oh yeah, like no, like he like Lightning would probably go like ha 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 ha, like at that point in the movie. Yeah. I don't really quite.
You don't really buy it,
especially because like right at that point he literally like was like saying like, oh yeah, we'll get you in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And like right after with Sally, he's like, "Oh, we'll see. I don't know. I gotta get back to the race."
If this is a sports movie, the best sports movie is about characters overcoming odds, right?
Right.
All this movie is it's you know what the movie really is, and this is where John Lasseter's love of cars, lowercase c, hurts the movie.
I see.
It's more of it's like Lightning McQueen learning to like find the beauty of Radiator Springs, it's really John Lasseter being like, it's like we're Lightning McQueen and he's trying to like convince us to love this culture.
Okay, yeah.
But that's not super. I don't think that's a super compelling story.
Uh-huh.
What's the story really? It's just more about him like learning to be humble.
Well, this gets at like something that I really noticed more and more, like kind of like I watched this film, because I always had one specific thing that stuck out to me fairly early on, and that's when Mac is taking Lightning to the race after the Life is a Highway montage, which great montage, great song. The fact that like when then Lightning like falls asleep and Mac's getting tired, and there's that gang that approaches, right, that are like trying to like messing with him, like, you know, like play some like pretty music for him to fall asleep, and like that this is what pretty much causes Lightning to get lost. I always found that to be a strange decision, because
it's pure accident.
Right before, they had set up a reason for Lightning to have, you know, like pushed Mac to her because he wanted to like take a break and like park for the night. But Lightning was like, no, keep going. And so that would have made Lightning accountable for himself getting lost. But they don't do that, even though like it was right there. And then there's just these characters who we never see again until the credits, which is a nice
more of a joke.
I guess it's just a joke. But like, and I think that speaks to a larger thing with this film, in which that there's a lack of causality throughout the narrative. Once we hit Radiator Springs, it's like, okay, so now he's here, and then he's gonna go on a race with Doc, and then Lightning and Mater are gonna go tractor tipping, and then he's gonna go riding with Sal.
It's a series of vignettes.
It's not. It's and then. It's not this because this, but then
yes,
this, but
yes,
this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what, like. It's just a series of vignettes, but like in the worst way. Mm-hmm. Like it's a very episodic story, but like not in a good way. Not in like I'm drawing up like on a good comparison here, but like the Sandlot.
Okay.
You know, like the Sandlot.
That's an interesting example, but sure.
But my point is being that it's a lot of isolated incidents that don't necessarily influence each other.
Right.
Like that, it's done well.
Yeah.
In this, it's the whole point is to see his growth.
Because you know what
but if there's no arc to the growth, it's just things happening. Then why is he growing?
It's not just about capturing like a feeling or a period or like a group of friends. It's about charting growth. And if it's going to be about charting growth, there should be a very intentional order to the way that things happen. And I think that's where there's problem.
Another better version of this movie is like actually seeing the interstate be put in, like from that perspective.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like I wonder why arrive at this story. Mm-hmm. You know, why arrive at this version of the story?
Because it's like, I don't know, it's luring everybody in with like, here's the flashiness. Oh, like kids like racing.
Because most of the trailers like
appreciate. You know, you have to learn to appreciate. Slow down a little.
Wasn't there like a line where we both looked at each other and went, get it?
Yeah.
Did you notice it? Here's the theme: circle, circle, underlined, bold.
in red.
What was it? I forget.
No, he said it like.
Oh, it's nice to slow down for a
while. Yeah, that's.
And then I was like waiting for them to look into the camera and go, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
Get it? So it's just very. It's just it's you know, it feels very agenda-y. Mm-hmm. It feels very ham-fisted. Like it feels very like oh, here's the point.
I like it much better when they focus as opposed to like here's like the fact that like oh, and then the interstate and Radiator Springs went off the map. Like, what I like better is when they try to then, like, when they address the racing industry and they talk about what happened to Doc and that he tried to then get back into it, but it turned its back on him. Yeah. It was like the next rookie standing in line. There was a lot left in him. That stuff is really interesting and kind of like sad. And I like also with Sally, like kind of this whole idea of like why then she stayed here in the first place. I like the motivations of characters that landed them in this location. What I care less about is like how this location like came to be cemented into history, or rather like erased from history, because it just sort of like I don't know.
Yeah, I know the film, like its story. If you were to write like a story treatment of this, it works on paper. Nice. I think as much as I'm harping on like the story, like how there's a better version of the story. Yeah. If you want to do this version, like it works,
sure.
But just the execution of it is feels a little disjointed. It feels a little.
let's talk about like our town sequence, because I feel like this is the movie.
It's trying to do
It's trying to do When She Loved Me, for sure. But, like, the thing with When She Loved Me is that they build up throughout the movie, okay, like, Jessie is then really then sort of, like, confrontational towards Woody. She has, like, some sort of chip on her shoulder. She doesn't, like, want to go back in stores. They really then, like, build it up, and then we find out.
Also, Jessie's issue is very primal.
Jesse's issue is very primal.
And existential.
And with Radiator Springs, like, we kind of understand, like, okay, like, you know, like, nobody knows about this place, like... But, like, they used to, I guess. And now they don't, which we understand now they don't.
And even as someone who, in, like, my own personal life, like, I don't drive the highway because I prefer to drive back roads and, like, to, like, see, like, you know what I mean? Like, I like to explore, like, I like to drive around. Even as someone who does that, it's I'm like, so are you trying to say, like, infrastructure is bad?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? In John Lasseter, I don't mean within the world of the story, because, like, Dwight D. Eisenhower didn't exist. Is there car Dwight D. Eisenhower? I don't know.
Yeah.
But is John Lasseter trying to say, like, Eisenhower's, like, initiatives to, like, create the interstate in the 50s was, like, a bad thing? How often does he drive the interstate to get to work? Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, so I'm not saying I have issues with its politics. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, what am I supposed to take away from that scene?
Right.
With this Jessie scene, with the When She Loved Me scene, we have these deep existential questions where it's like, I can't blame Jessie for wanting to go to Japan because of these things. With this, I'm like, so the highway,
the entire film.
Whereas with this, I'm just like,
stakes.
Whereas in this, I'm just like, so the highway's bad. There's really a song called "Life's a Highway." Life's a bad thing.
Life's a bad thing. Kill yourself.
Yeah.
No, basically, like.
You know what I mean?
And when I watched that sequence, like I thought that came to me recently that would have been like interesting. Is like, because I feel like such a strong aspect of Radiator Springs is its communal sense. So it would have been cool if like they like took some time to maybe show that like there were some other characters interacting with the characters that we know in Radiator Springs that left over time.
Which why I think that another good version of this story would be like the actual
people like leaving and stuff.
Like that story. Why don't you do the whole movie as the flashbacks?
Because we show like there are like the actual like buildings like they put up on some of them like, oh, it goes out of business and such, which like to me just raises the question, like, why did some of these places go out of business, but then some of them were able to stay for another 20 years without any customers at all? To the point that when they see 2 new customers,
how long
they go,
ago is it supposed to be?
Oh my god.
How long ago is it supposed to be?
How long ago? In like year? Like what? Like,
how long ago was the interstate put in this story? Like how long?
Well, what I'm going off of is the fact that Mater says in the credits, I haven't seen my hood in 20 years. So it's been at least 20 years.
But he could have lost his hood well after the interstate was
so it's been at least 20 years.
At least. Because I'm thinking the interstate was probably put in no later than the 60s. So this takes place in 2006.
It does.
It's been here for... These guys are old.
They're very old. So, yeah, like... And that question
These are some
also...
old cars.
That question also comes into play when, like, Sally is then trying to make a case of why they should have Lightning stay and fix the road. And it's like, oh, you'll go out of business. And, like, you have no customers at all. Where is your income coming from? What is your income? What do you use? How do you, like...
Well, I guess they...
Where do you get your gas? Like, what...
I thought it was always implied that they...
Fuel.
Like, they go to Flo's.
Okay.
Is that her name?
Flo, yeah.
Not like Flo, the sister in Finding Nemo.
Oh, yes, Flo.
So they go to Flo's, and then Flo's will get her tires changed. And then the tire people will go get surplus from... So it's like basically just a self-sustaining thing, where they basically just share the resources. But then where are they getting the fuel from?
That was my question. Yeah.
Where are they getting the fuel? So is someone coming in and delivering it?
Some secret person. I don't know.
Flo has 1,000 years worth of.
Don't ask where it comes from.
Is that line from the movie?
No, I just made it up.
Oh. You should be a writer.
Yeah, I should. So, yeah. Let's see what else. Also, an interesting thing that we noticed. This movie, despite the fact that earlier you were saying like it's more targeted at children, it uses the word sexy and it uses the phrase hillbilly hell.
The first curse word in a Pixar film. Mm-hmm. Hell. As a kid, I remember going like, "What? Yeah. Hell?" Seriously, I wonder why
your mom said, "It's time to turn it off."
I wonder. Funny story actually. I took the day out of school to see this film when I was in 3rd grade, and the reason being is because
you might get your diploma rescinded.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Shouldn't have said that on the air.
Yeah,
we should cut that
oh shoot, sorry, but
yeah.
Do you want to know why? Because that night on June 2006, there was gonna be a Danny Phantom big TV movie premiere or something.
Gonna catch them all because he's Danny Phantom.
Sure, I forget what
that's just the theme song.
Oh, that's just the theme song. And
it might have been the finale at that point.
No, it wasn't the finale. It was just a big special episode.
Okay.
It was like an hour and a half or something.
Sure.
And that was on at night. But I didn't want to miss that. And this was before DVR, so it wasn't like we could DVR.
Yeah.
So I somehow weaseled my mom to convincing her to then we, it was like a Friday of not going to school, so we could go see it with my neighbor Laura, and we went to go see that during the day.
Because you couldn't see Cars on Saturday.
No, we'd see the day it came out.
Okay.
Of course. So I don't know why we just didn't go Saturday, but I demanded we go see it.
Wow.
I haven't seen a lot of the Pixar movies. Actually, that's not true. That's a lie. I saw a lot of them in theaters.
I've seen them. Toy Story 2 was my first movie in theaters. I've seen them all in theaters since.
Do you want a medal?
I'm waiting for it.
But anyway, so with this film, I think from I guess what I'm hearing from you is Cars 3 is more like what I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
But I wish it was more like a kid from your experience, like a young kid or a young car.
Sure.
Trying to, make his way. Whereas this is more like an old pro trying to win one last good race.
Maybe you should watch Planes then.
Oh my god. Is that really what happens in Planes?
Well, I think it's Dusty Cropper, but isn't he's afraid of flying or something, but he still wants to fly. I don't know.
You are a toy, you can't fly.
You are a plane, you should fly.
No, but
confused.
I don't know. We'll get to Cars 3 when we get to Cars 3.
Good.
We'll get to Cars 2 when we get to Cars 2.
That's right.
But I've been harping a lot on this movie, but I think there's a lot of really good elements.
Okay.
Like I said, I think the first 15 minutes works really well.
I like the fact that we were talking about a lot of the stuff. Whenever it's with Doc and Sally, it generally really works. I like when after then he has his race and loses, that he goes back, he convinces Sheriff I need to go back around this dirt track, try to figure, because he's never really been presented with a challenge before, arguably he's this rookie, he's done unprecedentedly well, this bringing him down to earth, that stuff's really good.
I love the scene when it's the day that they all are oh, Doc Hudson, oh, Doc, he can never race or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does the whole road or whatever. He's where's Doc? Oh, he has to go after the tractor and finds Doc alone.
Yeah.
That's such a cool scene.
Yeah, that's a really good scene, too.
If only they didn't have Lightning McQueen be you got this, buddy. Why does he need to be saying things? He's I think he's going to race. I think he's going to do the thing.
I don't know.
That was a little much.
I do also think that, Sally warms to Lightning a little bit too quickly, because he's really kind of
he did the thing that we forced him to do.
Yeah.
He's really nice.
Forward is a nice way to put it. Another way to put it is very bad.
But it makes sense. She's thanks for doing all you did. It's well, no, you enslaved him to do it. Of course he did it.
But then he bought items from everybody.
But that was after. That was after she started to be into him.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense. There's a very quick romance. I think it's the only Pixar movie with a romance so far. Well, besides The Incredibles, but that's just their marriage.
What about Flick and Ada?
Oh, are they supposed to be a romantic?
What about Buzz and Jessie? What about Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head? What about Mike and Celia?
No, but those are more subplots.
Woody and Bo Peep, yeah.
No, but those are more those are the side characters.
Okay, this is
the Jessie and Buzz is more they don't meet until the very end.
No, I know. This is a little more integral to the plot. Oh, that also reminds me. Bonnie Hunt, who's been in a few Pixar films before this. He was A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc. See, this is her biggest role.
Did they name Bonnie in Toy Story 3 after her?
Arguably. I remember when it was coming out, we knew that Bonnie Hunt was going to be voicing a character, and then we found out that there was a character named Bonnie, and we were is Bonnie Hunt going to voice Bonnie?
Who did Bonnie Hunt voice in Toy Story 3?
Dolly. From one of Bonnie's toys.
Oh, Dolly the doll?
Dolly the doll.
Oh, okay.
When she says, Woody, are you going to stick with that name? It's not too late to change it, new room and all. That's coming from a doll named Dolly. Yeah.
But, this movie does do a lot of good.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of good. I think its biggest flaws Like it's like a good movie's in here. Even if you do it with this plot and this structure, I think a good movie's in here somewhere.
Right.
It's the things that bring it down are, I think it's script. In terms of the dialogue. Like the way the scenes are actually like presented. You know that. Like if you're gonna do this plot, it's that. Yeah. And then I think Larry the Cable Guy and or Mater. Like both. Like I don't think even doing it not as Larry the Cable Guy would make it better if it was another voice actor. But it doesn't help.
Another one of the film's many blurred lines between reality and the fiction it presents. Larry the Cable Guy and Mater are like the same person, basically. Down to him saying like, "Dad, come and get her done." And
it's like, which is weird that they would cast someone just for like their like, and then just have them be like, "Just do you." You know, like Woody isn't anything like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is like other characters.
The guy who voiced Sheriff is like, I'm pretty sure someone that they met that like while they were doing like their research on like Route 66. Again, like someone who I don't think is like an actual like voice actor or anything.
He does a good job. Yeah. So it's the way the dialogue's written. Mater as a character, and if not the way Lightning McQueen is written, which I think could be held. Yeah. Which I guess goes back dialogue, but Owen Wilson does an okay job. I don't think he was the right choice.
It's an interesting choice.
I don't think he gives it a good performance. It sounds like he's uncomfortable in a recording studio.
You think so?
Yeah, you can feel he like softly goes ka-chow.
I think it's particularly when he's trying to be like flat out mean, like when he's like, I'm talking to Bessie now. It's like straining a bit. It's not like, you know. It's not like bad, but like it does like raise an eyebrow of like why.
I think it brings the movie down. It's not bad, but it definitely brings the movie down. I think.
Okay.
And I think it's those key things that I mentioned that really hold it back. Like again, with this particular the way the story is constructed, that's what I'm assuming. That's that's what I'm assuming for this hypothetical.
Right.
Even if those things were an issue, I don't see this. This probably would still be kind of like a
lower tier.
It would still probably would be a lower tier, but like
it would improve it.
It would improve it for sure.
Okay. Did we mention Paul Newman directly as Doc?
He's great.
Yeah. This is his one
of his last
feature film role that he like recorded for.
Which is nice because it's very like old time. It's a very Paul Newman kind of character, so it's nice. It's not like
it is nice.
It's not like it's a bad movie. Well, it's technically his last performance ever.
It's arguably the best part of this movie, like in many ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than his real last performance, which is Mater and the Ghostlight.
No, but Cars 3 is his last performance, truly.
But okay, is that archival? It's archival, doesn't count.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess so.
Was he alive when they recorded the Cars 3 dialogue?
No.
Then fuck you. No, it's not. Doesn't count.
Okay. Well, yeah. And another thing I like too. I think it's really like watching it again. Although I can understand why the beginning would really like put someone off of how aggressive it is. Probably it's like the first act and the third act that work pretty well, and I like the stuff.
It's everything in the middle.
It's the stuff in the middle, yeah. But like the stuff with when like you know the king crashes and he helps him through the finish line and stuff like all that stuff is really nice.
It's just an empty cup.
It's just an empty cup. I like he has a piston cup, 3 piston cups, 400 piston cups, 16 million piston cups. I like doing that. Yeah, but like no, like all that stuff where I like when when Lightning's
when it's trying to be a real movie, but the rest of it's just like
when Lightning's in his element, and then when Lightning starts to like finally come around, and we're able to like just kind of like feel good and enjoy things. That's when the movie works. It's when it's sort of just like trying to find its footing throughout the middle. Thinking where do our priorities lie? What are we trying to do here? We're trying to make Lightning into a better person. We're trying to make him respect slowing down a little. And really, the only way to do that, like, and that's a difficult thing to do. The only way to do that is to like slow down the pacing. Like, even if you do it really well, like if you're gonna tell this story, you have to do some sort of approximation.
What's like the first thing that makes him start to not be an asshole? I forget. Like, what's like the turning point?
The turning point, or the first thing that like
the first thing where he's not an asshole, but softens him a little.
I don't know, like tractor tipping, maybe. Like And then, like, what really does it is the Our Town sequence.
No, but
because we didn't see it, but Sally actually sang
that's way
the whole
before.
song.
I'm talking way before that.
Yeah.
Because it can't be tractor tipping. Because that night she says that he can sleep in the cone, but she says he can sleep in the cone during the day, and that was a reaction to something else.
Because he fixed up some of the road. He started fixing the road like they asked him to. But
so that's dumb, though.
And he redid it, and he made it better. And it's the best that the road has ever been. And Ramon went lower than Flo has seen in years on that road.
He hasn't seen a road like that in years.
Yeah.
Hey, you need a bank job, man. I love that. That's my favorite line in any Pixar movie ever. Ever. I love that good hyena voice man. What's his name?
Cheech Marine.
Cheese?
Cheech.
Oh, Cheech and Chong.
Like Cheech and Chong, yeah. From Cheech and Chong.
Oh, where's Chong in this movie? Where's he?
No Chong, man. Chong wanted too much money, yeah.
Hey, Chong, man. Oh, but anyway. Yeah, so I think that's a little weak. That's a kind of a weak motivation for, like, he doesn't actually soften up. It's more like they start being nice to him. He doesn't learn to be nice to them anyway.
Lack of causality.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just like it's just a weird.
It's
movie.
just an empty cup.
It's just an empty film.
Oh no!
It is. It's just an empty film. You know, I don't really know what else to talk about with this movie. There's not really a lot to talk about.
Well, we were saying how the credits were in many ways like funnier than a lot of the movie.
Yes.
Because there's the really good gag of, like, yeah, he finds his hood after 20 years, loses it again. But of course the best is when they go to the literal drive-in theater and watch.
Well, every theater's a drive-in theater.
Toy Car Story, Monster Trucks Inc., and A Bug's Life. And John Ratzenberger is in all of them, and Matt goes, "Wow, it's really a good actor." But they're just using the same actor over and over. What kind of a cut rate production?
We're stuck in this wasteland without chains.
Without chains. But Mike, the Boommobile's in trouble. That stuff is really funny.
Yeah, and they got the original voice actors back.
They got them all back, yeah. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen,
even
Dave Foley.
Even though, yeah, Dave Foley was really busy.
Dave Foley was be nice. Dave Foley, really John Goodman, and Billy Crystal all came back.
What Mike? We're gonna the Boomobile. But yeah, the ending, because it's when you go into why oftentimes like the funniest parts of movies like this are like those like these like credits, like these skits.
Because that's when they're uninhibited and they can
uninhibited, and because the idea really shouldn't be sustained for a full film.
Okay.
Like this should not be a feature length film. This should have been like one of their shorts.
One of their shorts.
Not this story, but just like this idea of like cars and they can like they like have faces or whatever.
Maybe.
Or maybe no faces, just do it all through like just like them driving. That would have been cool.
How do you do that? No faces?
You animate a car.
I guess like Red's Dream. That's the one with the unicycle. It has no face.
Yeah.
But like pretty much any other, like the Blue Umbrella, they have faces.
Oh, no,
Lava, they have faces.
Just
cars.
Yeah.
But how do you track the emotional progression?
I don't know. How do you track the emotional progression with Luxo Jr.?
That's a good point.
You don't need a face? That's a very naive statement.
Well, I don't know. It's a little difficult.
Remember the IKEA commercial with the lamp?
Okay.
The sad one with the lamp and it's on
okay,
the
so we've
street?
proven that lamps can emote, but can cars emote?
Can cars emote? I think so. Yeah. Because it kind of already looks like they have faces. Mm-hmm. You know, interesting. This is that we really don't have a lot to talk about. So now I'm just talking about random things. But something I realized that in all of like animated cardom, which is quite actually large and extensive. This is the first time cars the placement of their eyes was on the windshield, not their headlights.
It's more expressive that way.
Usually they put the eyes as the headlights,
yeah,
and they would have the mouth like in between the eyes. But this, they had the windshield, which is a good choice because you can't see the interior of the cars.
Yes.
To also dispel any like, where are the humans?
Right.
Or is like, why are there seats in these cars?
Yeah.
So I guess there's no convertibles in this world.
But it's just like it makes it look more like a human face. It's more accessible that way. I think it is. Yeah, it's a strong choice, not just to be like, oh no humans. Like yeah, like it's better just like in how we like again track the characters.
It's like Princess Mononoke. I hate them all. I hate all the humans. But yeah, Lightning McQueen's a lot like Princess Mononoke. You heard it here first, everybody. They're very similar characters. They have to go through an arc where they learn. to accept the normal. I don't know.
All right, good, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what else to really talk about with this movie. Sorry, guys. I mean,
this is one thing that's interesting. I know we said before about how like the gang is kind of like that random gang of like cars on the road are responsible for Lightning McQueen's getting lost. But truly, what directly causes it is he has that little like bobblehead thingy that of himself that goes, and then it falls, and it like the back of Mac opens up, and that's how he falls. So the merchandise of Lightning McQueen was his undoing,
much like Pixar.
Much like yeah. So it's just kind of like an oddly.
So let me ask you a question.
Poetic.
Disney buyout or not? Does Cars 2 get made on creative inspiration?
John Lasseter loves the Cars series, and they won't.
Yeah, he loves the paycheck it fucking puts in his pocket. This movie made so much money on merchandising alone that it warranted a sequel. Like, if that money that they made on merchandising was part of the box office, it'd be one of like the highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah,
like that. Like, this is probably the best merchandise that Disney's ever had. I'm not being funny. Like, seriously. Cars, like, they sell like
it's
gangbusters.
A lot of money, yeah.
So much to warrant a third Cars after the critical the critical flop of Cars 2. Mm-hmm. That movie still made money somehow. I think, right? Was the box office okay for Cars 2?
It was okay, but still, like,
the merchandising made up for it.
Right.
That's the thing, is that for these
they need to then redeem themselves for Cars 2 critically.
But I don't think that's why I think it's because they're like, if we do Cars 3, we can sell more merchandise. But because Cars 3, from my understanding, was a little darker in tone, I wonder how well the merchandising did for Cars 3.
I'm sure the merchandise did just fine.
Just fine isn't good enough.
By just fine, I mean like.
So that's my question: is do you think besides John Lasseter being like, oh, I love Cars,
but it's not besides John Lasseter. It's John Lasseter. He's the director of Cars and Cars 2.
So is everyone in the studio like, yeah, you know what, Cars 2 is going to be good? Do you think anyone's like? Do you think anyone in that studio is like, we feel a strong passion at the studio to continue the story in the tradition of Toy Story 2. This will be the second
Pixar movie to get a sequel.
This will be the second one, and it's Cars. We've done Finding Nemo, we've done Monsters, Inc., and Incredibles, and these are all films worthy of sequels. Mm-hmm. But the real movie that's going to warrant a sequel is going to be Cars.
Well, you could also maybe look at it this way, in the sense that there's less to worry about in terms of, like, treading on a legacy when it comes to Cars, because they were like, well, I guess we could then just do... Yeah.
It's kind of a perfect storm. No fears about treading on a legacy.
Yeah.
And makes a shit ton of money with merchandising. Mm-hmm. So I understand it from a business perspective. It's just like... It soils the canon, I think. Not the Cars canon, but I mean like the Pixar, lexicon. The catalog, so to speak. Cars 2, and not this film. So my question: so out of the 3 Cars films, I mean, we still didn't get there, but what's better, this one or Cars 3?
Cars 3.
Really? Do you think Cars 3 is like this movie is just barely? I think it's barely a net positive. Mm-hmm. Is Cars 3 like not a resounding? It's not a masterpiece, but like, would you say Cars 3 is like good? Like actually good?
I really like it. I think given what they did, like, I don't know if like some people then had the expectation from then like, oh, then here's the trailer where then he crashes and like we're barely seeing the faces at all. That would be like some like super gritty like reboot reimagining of the. That's not what it is. It's the perfect way to follow up the first movie, in which our protagonist is more likable. It has more sophisticated themes. It takes what worked about the first one and is willing to kind of abandon or set aside what didn't. It's more emotionally involving. It's more kind of meditative. I really like what they did with it. Yeah. No, I thought it's.
I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah.
The trailer was hype. Mm-hmm. We'll get there when we get there. Yeah. But we'll get there when we get there. But we'll talk about that more when we actually get to Cars 2, which is a ways away.
It is.
We still have what? So Coco will be the 19th one.
Yeah.
So that's the 18th one. So we have 7. Mm-hmm. So we still have like 11 more films. Jesus.
Yeah.
So is there anything else we want to? I mean, we can talk about animation, but it's like they're cars. They look. I mean, the rendering's good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's.
They do a really good job. I like how they have like the when you see them go around the racetrack, they get the little rubble like.
The rust looks good, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about this, about talking about this.
No, but I think there is something to be said in how they crafted the atmosphere, because it did make for such, like, I haven't been, I would love to go, but the Cars land, how they
I love the Radiator Springs.
Like, the way they like set up that location is really good. It kind of like, I guess it's because of the theme park connection, but in a way, like, you could argue it's reminiscent of, like, how they establish, like, Hogwarts with Harry Potter, in the sense that there's a lot of, it's like slower pacing, but it's like those early, like, Chris Columbus Harry Potter films are, like, explorative, and you really get a sense of the location.
World,
Cars, this movie definitely gives you a sense of Radiator Springs.
Yeah.
Even if the whole movie has to slow down, intentionally so, like, that is what results from it. And that makes for a more rewarding theme park experience. Because there are a lot of things that, like, and you remember, that then you could revisit. And, I mean, it's not just like, it makes for a good, co-branding world. But, like, it's good in that it was immersive and you remember the location.
I mean, and I will say, it might be because I watched this to death when I was really young.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen this in forever. Like, I remembered where, like, the shops were. Like, I knew, like, the tire shop was across the street from, like, the gas station, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember the location of everything, which is good. And one of the best scenes in this movie is when they do fix the road, they get all the lights working, and there's
the neon.
Well, because also it's very reminiscent of American Graffiti. And, like, and that movie is also made from a very similar love of cars and the idea of cruising. I just wish there was a little more focus, because it's like, does John Lasseter have a love of racing?
He does.
Of race cars, specifically? Or just, like, old-time cars? Like the
All
idea of,
of
like,
it.
cruising. Okay. I don't know. I feel like you kind of need to pick one. It should have either been all about Radiator Springs or like about these, like, old-timey cars, or all about, like, the racing world. And I think trying to combine them.
That's this movie's attempt at having some sort of, that is. That is the intersection that this movie. Sorry, like, now when I say intersection in the context of cars, I just think of, like, an intersection. But like, that's like the way we had, like, intersections between, like, humans and our fantastical characters. This is the intersection that this movie is going for. So all Pixar movies are, like, revolving around these kind of intersections. But, like, the issue is that, like, neither world are we, like, all too familiar with, like a mirror image of, because obviously, like, we're not directly from, but, like, so it's not about, like, here's this foreign thing entering this thing that we recognize, or this thing that we recognize corrupting this foreign thing. It's like, here are two distinct ideas that sort of mirror things in the real world. They're probably, like, neither of them are probably things that you know that much about. You know they exist, but unless you're, like, someone who really loves this stuff, like John Lasseter, you don't, like, you don't live and breathe them. So it's just sort of like, okay, like, I see where you're going for here, but it's not going to get as much of a primal reaction as when they combine something with what we recognize as our world, Which is like I hate to then keep harping on that, because I don't think I stand by that, like, you don't need to do that in order to have, like, a successful Pixar narrative, but it is interesting how it's piling up that, like, when they don't do that, it doesn't really then work. And, I mean, arguably,
I think it just the movies that are the examples of, I think they don't work for other reasons, but it's interesting how they both line up.
Yeah. No, it like, in the end of the day, it comes down to execution, and like we said, it's about, we need to then be able to chart Lightning McQueen's emotional progression, and, like, then that's flawed, and, like, there's pacing issues, and even some logistical stuff. And I don't just mean, how cars, like just like, how are they in business, like,
Because, I mean, critically, this is, like, the first film that isn't doing, like, 90-somethings on Rotten Tomatoes.
In, like, the 70s,
But it still commercially does really well.
Yeah, sure.
So I hesitate to say this is, like, Pixar's first folly.
No, it's not.
This is more like a first misstep.
Yeah.
This is kind of like them, like, stumbling a little.
It's not their first.
It's not their full trip. Yeah.
It's their first speed bump.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Oh, pun very much intended.
So I guess if we have nothing else to touch on, really, why don't we try to rank this in the pantheon?
Oh, sheriff's coming for us.
You can hear the police sirens in the distance. We were speeding. We were actually doing this in the car. Vroom vroom. If only. Is there a reference in Cars 3 to I'm in my mom's car, vroom vroom, where it's like, I am my mom's car, vroom vroom? You think that was in it?
No, that wasn't in the movie.
Are you sure?
Maybe I'll check.
been a deleted scene. So how would you rank this film? So what is your ranking before this film?
So my rankings before.
It's getting hard to remember.
Film,
I'm starting to lose track.
It was A Bug's Life, and then it was Monsters Inc., and then it was Finding Nemo, and then The Incredibles, and then Toy Story, and then Toy Story 2.
So where does this fall?
So Cars.
I think the question is Bug's Life or Cars? That's better.
A Bug's Life or Cars. I'm thinking about it, cause like, what I find often when I think about a Bug's, I'll think like, I don't really have like any like big problems with A Bug's Life that are weighing it down. I think I have like more problems with Cars. But like the highs in Cars, I think are like they're like more unique and more memorable and more like evocative. Like there's more like in the way of style, like how I was saying, like the way they kind of like show the racing and sort of like the televisual quality of it, like the way that it's filmed, like quote unquote filmed. It's fun, and I like the stuff where we sort of then get into like, you know, like the examination of falling out of touch with the racing, and there's a lot of there's like more ambition to it than I feel there is in A Bug's Life. So I think I would put this above A Bug's Life. What do you feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree.
You're gonna agree?
Because I think, you know, I will say for everything we've said, it is a big risk.
Yes.
And I always prefer a big risk that goes really bad than just kind of like a bland, something kind of safer, bland. And I think I didn't understand for its time, you know, Bug's Life was still kind of a risk, but I think conceptually this is way bigger.
And that's also A Bug's Life.
They're not anthropomorphized. They have human faces, but they're not like physical. You know what I mean? It's really hard to write a story about cars.
Oddly enough, that's another film that kind of lacks causality in its second act. Because it's like once then the circus bugs are there with
it's them kind of like waiting.
You know, it's them kind of like there's a run-in with a bird, and then like they decide to then make a bird, but like, you know, like okay, like it sort of takes a while, and like it's there isn't then as much of an attempt to like have like character moments and really like flesh out the world and give you like a sense of this atmosphere. I get more of a sense of atmosphere in Cars. I get more of a sense of character. It doesn't always work. But they're swinging for the fences. They're going for it. Yeah. And you feel the effort.
Yeah. So I think my ranking is... It's getting to the point where it's hard to remember now, because now we have 7 movies to take care of. Yeah. I think it goes from bottom to top: Bug's Life, Cars. Yeah. Toy Story, right? Finding Nemo, Toy Story 2... Monsters Inc. Incredibles.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Is that? I don't know if I left any out.
No, I think you got them all.
And that's that. I think that's a pretty fair... It's like better than Bug's Life, but still not... Right. I was like, to be honest, during the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh god, I'm really liking this. If I try to put this above Toy Story, people will kill me.
I would have.
But then I watched the rest of it. Okay, yeah, this is definitely not... This is even like in the conversation of being better than Toy Story. Mm-hmm. And it's like... I almost like... I can't believe Toy Story is only one spot above it. For me, but like, there's such a huge gap, like in terms of the actual quality. Right. Is like if you were to plot these actually in terms of their quality, like there's a giant like gigantuan gap. I
think gargantuan is the
gargantuan, not gigantuan. What did I say? Gigantuan. Gigantuan. Yeah. Sorry, gargantuan. Yeah. So not their worst.
Yeah. But interesting enough, because like I think like at that point everyone was quick to say like. It's their first.
I think people hadn't seen Bug's Life in a while.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but I think at the end of the day, though, like if I could do this, I kind of think I would just say they're both equally bad. Mm-hmm. Bug's Life and Cars. But if you had to say which one's better, this edges out because of the risks it's I guess taking with its thing. But
it's more memorable. It's more, you know.
Yeah. So it's more memorable.
More of an impact. You know,
on popular culture, not just in my life, but like.
That's I just meant like emotional impact, like when I'm watching the movie, but like yes, like cultural impact, like definitely. I think there's a bit more Cars merchandise than A Bug's Life.
Just slightly more,
just a little.
But you don't want a cuddly bug.
You don't want a pop figure of Flick, Heimlich, or like they have those now.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Do people buy them? Have you ever seen someone walk out with a Flick Funko Pop, a pop figure?
I've seen them in the store, but I haven't seen anyone purchase one.
Oh God. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks so much everyone for listening. Okay. Next time we're going to be talking about their Pixar's 8th theatrical release film, The Ratatouille. Thanks, guys.
Bye.